Hey everyone! For today's fundamentals tutorial, I'm going into a totally free open source alternative to Adobe's Dreamweaver for your web and app design. An alternative that I personally prefer. So Brackets is an HTML editor you can get completely for free. There are a lot of programs like this, since it doesn't really make sense to charge for software to do something you can do with text editors built into any OS you're using. But most of those, like TextWrangler or Notepad++, are very basic. Where Brackets is different is that it was created with designers and developers both in mind. It's what's known as a what you see is what you get, or WYSIWYG program. What this means is that just like the higher end programs like Dreamweaver, you can actually see how your design looks as you're coding. And it'll look exactly like that in the browser because it actually previews in a browser. But before we go any further, I should probably tell you where to get it. Just hop over to your browser and head to brackets.io. Then hit the big blue button and download it. I know for a fact that it works on Mac and PC, and I'm also pretty sure it works on Linux, but I don't have a version of that to test it with. When you open it for the first time, you'll have your default folder open. This has all the basic documentation and info you need for the app, and the page to change your settings. Give it a read if you want, but I'll be working under the assumption you just want to get to really using it. We'll need a project to work with first. If you don't have any, just make a folder in Explorer or Finder and we'll start there. Once you do that, or if you already have a folder you are working in, you can open it by using Open under the File menu. You can also click on the bar with the current folder and click Open Folder. Either way, this will open a window where you can select the folder you want to use. Navigate to it and click it. You'll now have that folder open and be able to see all of its subfolders and files in your files list. Clicking any of the files will open it in the code editor. If you right-click in that list of files, you'll also have a few options that show up. The top of this is the ability to make new files in your folder right from Brackets. Unlike most other programs though, you actually need to type the dot and your file extension like .html, .php, CSS, JS, etc. The same way, you can right-click again and choose to rename. You can change the file's name, and you can change the file type here. So say you have an HTML document and need some server code, you can go in here and quickly change it from a .html to a .php file. You can also make other subfolders by clicking the new folder instead. Though great as this all is, one thing you can't do is move files around in here. But they designed it with that in mind, so from the same right-click menu, you can also choose to show in Finder or Explorer. This will open a new Finder or Explorer open to the folder you choose. You can also search a document and replace the thing you're searching for. But what's cool is that there's also an option built in to search and replace that term in every document in a project if you want to. And it can be done manually too, meaning you won't automatically replace things you might not want to, again if you choose to go that route. As I said, you can open any file in Brackets, but that won't technically open the file, meaning you'll just be reading it. When you make any kind of change, then it will be put into your list of open files. Like any good code editor, there are also a few shortcuts we've got to speed things up. The one I use most often is the indenting. In Brackets, any line your cursor is on, or any number of lines you have selected, you'll move your lines of text left or right. To do this, type Tab or the right bracket key to move the text right, or type Shift Tab or the left bracket to indent the text left. This is really good for keeping your code organized and easy to read. You can also duplicate things fast by typing Command or Control D. This will either copy the whole line if your cursor is on a line without any selections, or if you have a selection, it'll duplicate only the parts you've selected rather than the whole line. And the other important one, at least for me, is the ability to quickly comment your code out. If you want to make a single line comment, just put your cursor on the line you want to take out and type Command or Control and slash. If instead you want a comment to be multiple lines, you'll first need to make a selection. Then, type Command-Option/ on a Mac or Control-Alt/ on a PC. There are a few others built in for things like navigating your document or project, editing, and debugging, but I capped myself at 3 examples, or else I'd be here for a long time just listing keys. You'll know which files you've made unsaved edits to based on whether they have an asterisk on the left side of their name. You can also click and drag any of the files that are open and rearrange them however you want. This is great for organizing things if you have an order to the files you need to work on, or if you have OCD. One last really cool tool for this is the ability to split your editor in half, either horizontally or vertically. With the second window open, you can throw another file in to make your editing faster without having to jump back and forth. I'm particularly a fan of this for doing my styles while having the page you're styling open at the same time, since I figured out you can do this. And because it's open source, there are a ton of extensions and plugins you can add to make it even better, all of it free. To install them, you can head to GitHub manually or hit the Lego-like block icon on the far right of the program window. In here, you can install extensions and themes and disable extensions you have. For myself, off the bat, I recommend looking for autosave files on window blur. This will make it so anytime you click away from brackets, all open files will automatically be saved. Also, Bracket Synapse lets you do the same kind of FTP and SFTP work with servers, just like Dreamweaver or NetBeans. I use a few others, but those two are really good to start with. To find them, go to the Available tab. There's a massive list you can scroll through, or you can type a term into the search bar up at the top right of the window. Click Install next to any you want, and it'll add itself to brackets. You would do the same thing for any themes you want to use. These will change how your code editor looks. The one you see on the screen right now is called New Moon. To use any themes you've installed, you go into the View menu at the top and click Themes. In the window that opens, your available themes will be a menu at the top. You can also change the font size and family you're seeing too. Lastly, let's use this like the WYSIWYG editor it is. To do it, open a document and hit the lightning bolt on the far right. This will open the preview window in whichever browser you use by default. As you make changes in your document, or in the CSS, the window will show those changes being made live right in the browser. I will note though that there is one more step if you're working with PHP files. Namely, you need a server. Though if you are working with PHP files, you probably already knew that anyways. Whenever you have a PHP file, trying to open the preview will instead open the project settings window. In this window, you'll need to type the server URL you'll be testing on. As far as I'm aware, this needs to be a local host if you're working with files on your computer, or the URL of the site if you're linked to an actual site's files. When you hit OK, assuming you have the right access, your preview will open up with working PHP. At any time, you can open that same window and change the URL you're previewing on by going up to the File menu and clicking Project Settings. Once you change a PHP file, nothing will change as you're looking at it. You will need to save and then it will update. And that was all about brackets, a free alternative to Adobe for web design. You should hopefully be good to go now. I hope everyone's learned something and had fun doing it. If you have any questions, thoughts, or other feedback, you can let me know in the comment below or with a message to @ET_studios on Twitter. And I'm planning to be back here every Friday, so be sure to subscribe for more awesome content. Have a great day, everyone.